So why? Why was this salt, this simple pink rock from a mountain, once considered more precious than shiny yellow gold? The reason is very, very simple. You cannot eat gold. Gold is beautiful to look at, can make you feel rich. You can wear it as jewelry or use it to decorate a palace. But gold cannot keep you alive. If you were hungry, a room full of gold would be useless. But salt is different. Salt is essential for life. Hello, and a very warm welcome to this quiet place, a safe harbor from the busy world. Tonight, we are going on a special journey together. Not a fast or a noisy one, but a slow and a very gentle journey back to a time long, long ago. So, let's begin by finding a position that is most comfortable for you, across your forehead. Let your whole body feel heavy, peaceful, and deeply, deeply at rest. You are safe, you are comfortable, and you are ready for a story. This is the story of Himalayan salt. Long ago, this salt was said to be more valuable than gold. Isn't that strange? We think of gold as the most precious thing. It is shiny and heavy and expensive. But this simple salt at one time was much more important. So, as you continue to breathe softly and slowly, let the darkness behind your eyelids be a warm, safe blanket. And let my voice be your guide, as we travel together, back in time, to a world you have never seen. Before the mountains, before the land as we know it, there was an ocean. Let's imagine we are drifting back in time, not just 1,000 years, but hundreds of millions of years. We are traveling back 800 million years. The world we arrive in is almost silent. There are no birds singing in the trees because there are no trees yet. There are no animals roaming the land because they have not yet come to be. It is a world of rock and water and sky. It is a very simple and a very peaceful place. And in the spot where the country of India and the continent of Asia would one day meet, there is a vast ancient ocean. Let us call it the Sea of Beginnings. The sea is special. Its water is like a perfect recipe for life. It is full of good things, wonderful minerals that were there from the very start of our planet. There was calcium, the great builder of strong bones and shells. There was potassium, the quiet helper that allows our hearts to beat in a steady rhythm. There was iron, the mineral that gives our blood its rich, red color and carries life-giving oxygen through our bodies. And there were more than 80 other minerals and elements, a complete alphabet of everything life would ever need to create itself. For millions upon millions of years, this ocean was a calm, quiet nursery. A place where the first tiny sparks of life were beginning to stir in the deep. But the earth, our home, is always changing. It is like a great sleeping giant that breathes very, very slowly. Its breaths take millions of years. And with each slow breath, the world changes shape. Deep under the floor of this great ocean, the ground itself was moving. Huge pieces of the Earth's crust, called tectonic plates, were floating on a sea of hot, liquid rock below. Imagine giant puzzle pieces, the size of continents, drifting slowly across the globe. One of these giant puzzle pieces, the land that would one day become India, was on a very long journey. It was moving north so slowly that you could watch for 100 years and see nothing move at all. But over millions of years, it was moving with unstoppable force. It was heading toward the even bigger piece of land, Asia. And one day, far in the future, they were going to bump into each other. As this great, slow journey was happening, the weather on the earth began to change. The sun grew warmer, and its light shined down on the Sea of Beginnings. The sun was like a warm, thirsty mouth, drinking the ocean. Day after day, sip by sip, for thousands and thousands of years. The water in the ocean began to evaporate. It turned into a fine mist and floated up into the sky, leaving all of its heavy treasures behind. The great ocean started to get smaller. Its shores crept inwards. The water slowly, peacefully, disappeared. But it left a gift. It left behind its very soul. On the old ocean floor, which was now becoming dry land, a magnificent sight appeared. A huge, flat, glittering blanket of salt crystals. Layer after layer of pure, clean salt was left behind. It held everything that had been in the ocean. All 84 of the good minerals, all of the history of that ancient water, were now locked together in this giant, shimmering bed of salt. It was a kingdom of crystal, a field of sleeping light. The treasure of the ocean was now a treasure of the land, and it was waiting in the great silence for the next part of its incredible story to begin. For an immense stretch of time, a time so long it is hard for us to imagine, the great salt bed rested. After the warm ocean had given its final breath to the sky, it left behind this kingdom of crystal. Imagine a flat, white plain stretching farther than your eyes could see, shimmering under the light of an ancient sun. The silence here was absolute. It was a silence deeper than any we know today. There were no leaves to rustle, no insects to buzz, no birds to sing their morning songs. There was only the sound of the wind, a lonely whisper blowing across a vast, empty landscape. This was the world in its great, quiet infancy. The salt bed was a sleeping promise, a treasure waiting for its story to truly begin. It rested under the heat of the day, and it cooled under the gaze of a different pattern of stars at night. For millions of years this was its entire existence, stillness and waiting. But deep, deep beneath this peaceful surface the earth was not still at all. The great engine of our world was turning. The enormous puzzle pieces of the land, the continents, were continuing their silent, unstoppable journey. The great piece of land that would one day become India did not stop. It had been traveling for a very, very long time, and its journey was not yet over. Millimeter by millimeter, inch by inch, it crept northward, pushed by the immense, fiery energy at the very center of the planet. It was on a collision course with the even larger continent of Asia. At first, there were no signs of this cosmic meeting. But then, after an age of waiting, the very first whispers of the great change began. It was not a sound you could hear with your ears. It was a vibration, a feeling deep in the bones of the world. A low hum that might last for 1,000 years. On the surface of the vast salt bed, the first signs appeared. A tiny crack, thin as a hair, might have raced for miles across the glittering plain. The ground, which had been perfectly flat for so long, might have begun to tilt just slightly, a change so small you would not notice it even if you watched for your entire lifetime. But it was the beginning. The two great continents were starting to touch. Imagine two sleepy giants, slowly, so slowly, leaning their immense weight against each other in the dark. For 1,000 years, then 10,000 years, nothing much seems to happen. But the pressure, the incredible, patient pressure, is building. The ground between these two giants has nowhere to go. It cannot go down, so it must go up. And so it began. The great, flat salt bed, the soul of the ancient ocean, started to feel a gentle squeeze. Over an unimaginable length of time, that gentle squeeze became a slow, powerful bend. The flat plain began to wrinkle. The wrinkles became folds. The folds became small hills. It was as if a giant, invisible hand was slowly and gently crumpling the very crust of the earth. The land began to rise. Not quickly, like a wave in the ocean that rises and crashes in a moment. No, this was a wave that took millions of years to rise. It rose so slowly that it was not a movement but a state of being. It was like a flower growing toward the sun, but taking 50 million years to bloom. And as the great wrinkles in the earth grew into hills, and the hills grew into mountains, they took the salt with them. They lifted the entire vast kingdom of crystal. Up, up, up. The salt was carried from the low floor of the world high into the sky. It was a slow, majestic elevator ride that lasted for an age. The salt was no longer under the open air. It was now being folded into the land, buried deep inside the belly of the new rising mountains. It became the secret heart of the rock. Now, a new chapter of its transformation began, deep inside this dark, warm, high-pressure chamber. Think of the inside of the mountain as a magical, natural laboratory. Two very powerful forces were now at work on our salt. The first force was pressure. An incredible, constant pushing from all sides. It was the weight of all the new mountains, kilometers of rock, squeezing the salt beds. Imagine the feeling of being at the very bottom of the deepest ocean. Now imagine that ocean was 1,000 times deeper. It was a constant, steady, powerful embrace from the mountain itself, a hug that lasted for millions of years. The second force was heat. It was not a fire, but a gentle, baking warmth. A deep, steady heat that comes from the very core of our planet. This warmth made the salt crystals soft and willing to change, like warm clay in a potter's hands. This immense pressure and this gentle heat worked together like a patient, wise alchemist, turning something good into something truly perfect. They changed the salt. They pressed it so hard and for so long, that all the separate tiny salt crystals that were made in the ocean had to join together. Imagine every single grain of salt holding hands with its neighbors. Now imagine them being squeezed so tightly that they forget they were ever separate. They merge. They fuse. They become one single, beautiful, glassy thing. The pressure created a near-perfect crystalline structure, strong and clear, like a diamond. This is what makes Himalayan salt so hard and glassy compared to the flaky salt from the sea. And as this happened, something truly wonderful was sealed inside. All 84 of the good minerals from that ancient ocean, the calcium, the potassium, the magnesium, were not squeezed out. They were trapped. They were locked tightly into the new, strong crystal structure. They became a permanent part of the salt itself. And it was these tiny, trapped traces of minerals, especially the life-giving mineral iron, that gave the salt its famous, beautiful color. Not the plain white of other salts, but a gentle, warm pink. The color of a blush or a soft rose or a gentle sunrise. The very iron that makes our own blood red was now giving this ancient salt its warm and living glow. The salt's great transformation was now complete. The journey from a liquid ocean to a solid bed of crystal, and now to a perfect, mineral-rich, pink crystalline rock was finished. The salt was now completely sealed away. A finished jewel resting in its stone box. It was safe from the wind and the rain. Safe from the changing world outside. Safe from any living thing. For millions and millions more years, it would sleep there, undisturbed. While great ice ages covered the world in a blanket of white and then melted away, while giant woolly mammoths roamed the cold plains, the salt rested. It was not disturbed. It was not touched. It was simply waiting. A treasure of glowing pink crystal, the long-lost ocean, now dreaming peacefully inside a great mountain, waiting for the day, far, far in the future, when it would finally be found. For an age, the mountain stood in silence. Its pink, crystalline heart, the memory of an ancient ocean, was held safe and secret in the deep, quiet dark. On the outside, the world was awakening. The sun and the rain, over thousands upon thousands of years, had carved the mountain's rocky skin into cliffs and valleys. Sparse, tough grasses and hardy shrubs began to cling to its slopes. Life had arrived in this high, lonely place. And with life, came a secret that was passed not through words but through instinct. A secret known only to the animals. Let us imagine a single creature, a wild mountain goat, a marker perhaps, with magnificent, spiraling horns. The sun is warm on its back. It moves with a grace that seems impossible, its hooves finding tiny, certain footholds on the steep, rocky cliffs. It spends its day browsing on the tough leaves of bushes and chewing the dry grasses. This is its home. It knows every ledge, every shadow, every source of fresh water. But as the day wears on, the goat feels a deep, quiet calling from within. It is not hunger for more grass. It is not thirst for water. It is a different kind of need. A craving for something the plants cannot give it. A deep, ancient wisdom, passed down from its mother, and its mother's mother, tells its body what it needs. It needs salt. And so, it begins a journey. It leaves the relative safety of the green slopes and begins to climb higher, onto the more barren, rocky parts of the mountain. It follows a path that is not a path at all, just a series of worn-down stones, a route that has been followed by generations of animals before it. This path does not lead to better food or safer shelter. It leads to a special place. Finally, the goat arrives. It is a sheer rock face exposed to the wind and the sun. But here the rock is different. It is not a dull, lifeless gray. Veins of a beautiful, soft pink run through it, glittering faintly in the sunlight. This is the place. This is the mountain's secret pantry. The goat approaches the wall of rock. It lowers its head and its long, rough tongue touches the stone. It begins to lick. A slow, steady, rhythmic licking. The taste is sharp, clean, and deeply satisfying. The goat can feel the vital minerals entering its body, a feeling of deep wellness and replenishment. It is restoring a balance that nature intended. Here, at this natural salt lick, the life of the mountain connects directly with the ancient life of the ocean. For a very, very long time, this was a ritual known only to the wild herds. The cautious deer would come at twilight. The wild sheep, with their thick coats, would gather in the mornings. They all knew the secret. The mountain provided for them and they kept its secret safe. Then a new kind of creature appeared in these hills. A creature that walked on two legs. A creature that did not have the same deep, ancient instinct as the animals, but had something else. A powerful curiosity. The first people arrived. They were not kings or conquerors. They were quiet hunters and gatherers, living in small family groups. They moved with the seasons, following the herds of animals that were their source of food. They were patient observers. Their lives depended on understanding the world around them, on reading the signs, on learning the secrets of the animals. And they noticed something strange. A great puzzle. They would watch the herds of goats and deer, and they saw that the animals would often travel to these high, barren, and dangerous cliffs. What? There was no food there. There was no water. It made no sense from a hunter's perspective. It was a mystery. Perhaps a wise elder of the tribe or a young, curious hunter decided to watch more closely. He might have hidden behind a rock for a whole day just watching. And he would have seen the animals licking the pink rock. He would have noticed that after they did this, they seemed stronger, more full of life. The puzzle became deeper. What power did this strange rock hold? The curiosity would have been too strong to ignore. After the animals had left, the hunter would have cautiously approached the rock face himself. He would have seen the places worn smooth by thousands of animal tongues. He would have touched the rock. It would have felt cool and solid. He might have chipped off a small piece with one of his stone tools. Imagine him now holding this small pinkish crystal in the palm of his hand. It glitters in the sun. He smells it. It has no scent. He is cautious, but his curiosity is stronger than his fear. He raises the small stone to his lips and touches it with the tip of his tongue. The sensation would have been a revelation. An explosion of pure, clean, savory flavor on a palate that had never known such a thing. It was not like anything else in their world. It was not the sweetness of a berry or the richness of meat. It was something new, something essential. His body would have reacted instantly. A feeling of deep satisfaction, as the essential minerals were recognized by a body that craved them without knowing it. In that moment, the puzzle was solved. This was not just a rock. It was a source of strength, a source of wellness, a gift from the mountain. This discovery would have changed everything for the small tribe. They would have learned to visit the salt licks, chipping off small pieces to carry with them in leather pouches. They would have learned to crush it over their roasted meat, transforming their simple meals into delicious feasts. They would have discovered that rubbing the salt on fresh meat would make it last for many days longer, protecting it from spoiling. This was a form of magic. It gave them security. The pink salt became the tribe's most valuable possession, their greatest secret. For many, many more centuries, the secret remained local. Small villages grew near the salt range. The people knew of the salt mountain. They would trade the salt with neighboring villages, but the wider world, the world of great empires and faraway kings, still knew nothing of the immense treasure that slept here. Until the sound of a marching army finally echoed through the quiet hills. Let us travel forward in time again to that famous year, 326 BC. The world has changed. Great cities have been built. Mighty empires stretch across the land. And the most powerful of them all is the army of Alexander the Great. They have just fought a terrible, bloody battle. They are victorious, but they are exhausted. The soldiers are tired of war. The horses are tired of marching. The entire army is a wave of exhaustion, resting uneasily in a foreign land. The camp is a sea of brown tents and flickering fires under the hot Punjab sun. The air is thick with the smell of dust and sweat. Soldiers sit in the shade, mending their armor, their faces grim. They are thousands of miles from their homes in Greece and Macedonia. They are weary in body and in spirit. Their horses are in an even worse state. These are the powerful war horses that carried them to victory, but now they are thin and tired. They refuse to eat the dry, unfamiliar grass. They drink water from the river, but it does not seem to revive them. They stand with their heads bowed low, their great strength gone. A young cavalry soldier perhaps worries about his horse. It is his trusted companion, his partner in battle. He tries to coax it to eat, but it refuses. He feels a sense of despair. Then he notices his horse and a few others lifting their heads. They seem to smell something on the wind. Something that calls to them. They begin to walk, slowly but with a strange purpose, away from the camp towards the low rocky hills. The soldier, curious and concerned, follows. He watches as his horse walks right past patches of grass, its eyes fixed on a wall of rock ahead. When it reaches the rock, it does something he has never seen before. It begins to lick the stone. A deep, long, satisfying licking, as if it were drinking the most delicious water in the world. Other soldiers notice. The news spreads through the camp like a whisper. The horses are eating the rocks. Soon a crowd gathers at a safe distance, watching this strange spectacle. They see their tired, listless horses acting with a new energy. They see the animals reviving themselves. The soldiers, practical men, understand that the horses have found something they need. A kind of medicine. A brave soldier walks forward. He touches the pinkish stone, damp from the horses' tongues. He sees the veins of crystal running through it. He lifts his fingers to his mouth. Salt. A wave of excitement ripples through the camp. It is a miracle. A gift. In this harsh, foreign land they have found something wonderful. They lead all the horses to the rocks. They chip off pieces for themselves, laughing as they taste the clean, powerful flavor. For a moment their weariness is forgotten. The news is brought to the great Alexander himself. As a student of the philosopher Aristotle, Alexander is a man of science and great curiosity. He understands immediately the importance of this discovery. Salt is a strategic resource vital for the health of his army and his animals. He would have claimed the Salt Mountain for his great empire. Its location would have been marked on his maps. But destiny had other plans. Alexander's men, tired of war and longing for home, would go no further. His great journey of conquest was over. He turned his army around and began the long march back west. He would never see the Salt Range again. But it did not matter. The mountain's great secret was no longer a local whisper, known only to the animals and the quiet tribes. The story of Alexander's horses would be told in courts and libraries across the world. The secret was out. The greatest empires in the world now knew that a treasure of immense value, a mountain of pink gold, was waiting in the foothills of the Himalayas. The age of its quiet sleep was over. The age of the great salt mines was about to begin. After the story of Alexander's horses spread, the Salt Range was no longer just a local secret. It was a place of known importance. For the next 1,000 years and more, as kingdoms rose and fell, the people who lived in the shadow of these hills held the key to this treasure. Clans of proud and powerful local chieftains, like the Janjua Raja, became the guardians of the salt. They were the first true miners. Let us imagine what those early mines were like. They were not the great open halls we see today. They were small, dark tunnels, dug into the side of the mountain like the burrows of patient animals. The only light came from the flickering, smoky flames of small oil lamps, which cast long, dancing shadows on the walls. The air inside was cool and still, and it tasted of salt. The only sounds were the steady, rhythmic sounds of work. The sharp tap, tap, tap of a hammer against a metal chisel. The scraping sound of rock being pulled away. The muffled voices of the miners, echoing softly in the narrow spaces. It was hard, slow, and often dangerous work. The mountain did not give up its treasure easily. Imagine the moment when the miners, after a long day of work, would finally free a large block of the pink salt. They would carefully carry it, heavy and precious, out of the darkness of the tunnel and into the bright sunlight. In the light of day, the block of salt would seem to glow from within, a giant, rough-cut jewel. Each block represented immense wealth. It could be used to feed a family, to trade for fine cloth, or to build a stronger house. For these local people, the salt was not just a rock. It was their livelihood, their power, and their heritage. For centuries this was how it was done. A small-scale, local trade, known only to the surrounding lands. But a new age was dawning. From the west, a great and powerful empire was rising, an empire of fabulous wealth and grand ambitions. The Mughal Empire. When the Mughal emperors came to rule this land in the 16th century, they saw the true potential of the Salt Mountain. They were builders of magnificent palaces like the Taj Mahal, and they understood the power of controlling a great natural resource. They saw not just a local trade, but a river of wealth that could flow into their imperial treasury. They organized the mining on a much larger scale. Imperial officers were sent to oversee the work and, most importantly, to tax the salt. The Mughals created the Great Salt Roads. Let us picture the beginning of one of these long journeys. In the dusty foothills of the Salt Range, a great caravan is being assembled. Hundreds of camels, patient and strong, kneel on the ground while men load their backs with heavy sacks made of coarse, strong burlap. Each sack is filled with the precious pink salt, carefully weighed and recorded by a scribe. The air is filled with the sounds of men shouting, camels grumbling, and the soft, rhythmic clinking of bells. When all is ready, the caravan begins to move. It is a slow, walking city of merchants, guards, and animals. They travel south and east, away from the lonely mountains and towards the bustling heart of India. Their journey is long and difficult. They cross dry, rocky plains under a burning sun. They navigate through crowded river valleys and dense forests. They face the dangers of bandits and storms. But the prize is worth the risk. After many weeks, the caravan arrives at a great city like Lahore or Delhi. Imagine the contrast. From the deep silence of the mine to the vibrant noise of a grand bazaar. The air is thick with the scent of 1,000 spices, the sound of merchants calling out their wares, the color of bright silks and shining pottery. Here, the merchant from the Salt Range unveils his treasure. He opens a sack and the pink, glittering salt crystals spill out onto a cloth. Other merchants gather around, marveling at its purity and its beautiful color. And then the trading begins. A sack of this fine Himalayan salt might be traded for a chest full of fragrant black pepper from the southern coasts. Another might be traded for fine, painted ceramics, or a roll of silk so soft it feels like water. The salt from the mountain was now connecting the world, a vital part of the great web of trade that stretched across all of Asia. Many more years passed. The great Mughal Empire faded away. And a new, powerful force arrived from across the ocean, the British. The British saw the Salt Range with the eyes of an industrial empire. They saw a resource that could be managed with science, efficiency, and engineering. The old mines, though productive, were a chaotic maze of tunnels dug over centuries. They were inefficient and, at times, unsafe. The British decided they needed a new plan. So, in the 1870s they sent a man to the mines. He was not a king or a merchant. He was an engineer, a man of science. His name was Dr. H. Worth. Dr. Worth was a brilliant man with a unique vision. He did not just see a mountain full of salt. He saw a grand architectural problem waiting to be solved. He knew that to simply keep digging bigger and bigger holes was foolish. The mountain was powerful and it had to be respected. After studying the mines, he created a beautiful and simple plan. It was called the room and pillar method. Let us imagine we are Dr. Worth thinking through this plan. Imagine you are an architect, but instead of building a house, you are carving one out of a single, solid piece of stone that is as big as a mountain. Your first challenge is to make sure the roof does not fall in. So, Dr. Worth's plan was this. For every huge section of salt that the miners dug out, creating a vast, open space called a room, they had to leave an equally huge section of salt right next to it, completely untouched. This untouched section was the pillar. These were not small columns. They were enormous pillars as wide as the rooms themselves, made of solid, glittering salt. They were like the mighty legs of a giant, invisible table, holding up the immense weight of the mountain above. Dr. Worth made a rule: only one half of the salt could ever be mined. The other half had to be left behind forever to act as these powerful pillars. It was an act of great wisdom. He understood that to take a gift from the mountain, you must also leave a gift of strength behind. You must work with the mountain, not just against it. His design was a work of genius. It instantly made the mine incredibly safe and stable. It allowed the miners to carve out enormous, cathedral-like chambers without any fear of collapse. It transformed the mine from a dangerous, dark maze into a grand, organized, and permanent underground city. Dr. Worth's vision was not just for the next few years, but for the next few centuries. He created a mine that was sustainable, a place that could provide its treasure to the world for generations to come, without destroying the mountain that held it. He used science and engineering not just to take from the earth, but to do so with respect and intelligence. He laid the foundations for the incredible Crystal Palace that we can still walk through today. For centuries, the mountain was a place of hard work and great effort. But because of the wise and careful plan of the engineer, Dr. Worth, it is now also a place of great wonder and profound peace. We can now do something that was once impossible. We can take a safe and gentle walk, deep into the glowing heart of the Salt Mountain. So let us begin our tour. Let your mind become quiet and just imagine. Imagine we are standing at the entrance to the Kura salt mine. Outside, the sun of Pakistan is bright and very warm. The air is filled with the sounds of the world. But in front of us is a simple dark archway cut into the side of a rocky hill. It is an invitation to leave the busy, noisy world behind. As we step through the archway, everything changes instantly. The first thing you notice is the air. The hot, heavy air of the outside world is gone. Here inside the mountain, the air is cool, and still, and surprisingly fresh. It feels wonderful on your skin. Take a slow, deep breath. The air has a faint, clean, mineral scent. It is the scent of the ancient earth itself. The second thing you notice is the sound. The sounds of the outside world, the birds, the cars, the voices, all fade away. They are replaced by a deep, profound silence. A quiet so complete that you feel you can almost touch it. It is a peaceful, comforting silence. And the third thing you notice is the light. Your eyes, used to the bright sun, take a moment to adjust. The tunnel ahead of us is not dark. It is lit by soft, gentle electric lights. And these lights reveal the magic of the walls around us. They are not made of dull, gray rock. The walls are made of pure, solid salt. They glitter and shimmer in the soft light. You can see long, beautiful veins of different colors running through the stone. A deep, rosy pink like the inside of a seashell, next to a band of pure, milky white like a frozen river. It is like walking through a tunnel carved from a giant, magical gemstone. A small electric train is waiting for us. It moves very slowly, taking visitors deep into the mountain's heart. Let's take a seat. As the train begins to move, we glide deeper and deeper into the quiet darkness. The walls slide past us, a beautiful, endless pattern of pink and white. The journey is calm and hypnotic. It feels as though we are traveling not just into a mountain but back in time. After a few minutes, the train comes to a gentle stop. The tunnel opens up into a space so vast, it takes your breath away. This is the first great chamber, called the Assembly Hall. It is enormous, as large as a grand cathedral or the hall of an ancient king. The ceiling is far, far above our heads, lost in the soft shadows. And holding up that ceiling are the mighty pillars that Dr. Worth designed. They are colossal columns of solid salt as wide as giant, ancient tree trunks. Their surfaces are rough and crystalline, and they glitter in the soft light, standing as silent, powerful guardians of this underground world. The air in here is so still, so vast, that all sound seems to simply disappear into it. It is a place of great peace. From here we can begin to walk. Our footsteps make no echo. We can explore the many wonders of this crystal city. We come to a bridge. It is a simple, arched bridge, but it is made entirely of glowing salt bricks. It crosses over a deep, dark canyon, a chasm that disappears into the blackness below. As we stand on the bridge, we get a true sense of how deep we are inside the earth. We are standing in a space that was created by patient human hands, inside a mountain that was created by the patient hands of time itself. Now we see something truly magical ahead. It is a building standing in the middle of a great chamber. It is a small mosque, a perfect, miniature copy of the great Badshahi Masjid in Lahore. But this one is unique in all the world. It is made completely and entirely out of salt bricks. The artist who built it used salt of different colors. Some bricks are a deep reddish pink. Others are a soft, pale white. Together they create beautiful, intricate patterns on the walls and in the archways. There are lights placed inside the mosque, and when they are turned on, the entire building glows with a warm, gentle, honey-colored light. Feels alive. It is a holy place, a sanctuary of peace, made from the purest substance of the ancient earth. It is a place that makes you want to speak only in whispers. We continue our quiet walk and we come to the brine pools. These are large, natural pools of water that have collected deep within the mine. But this is not ordinary water. It has so much salt dissolved in it that it is heavy and thick. The water is perfectly still. There are no ripples. It is a perfect dark mirror. It reflects the glittering salt ceiling above so perfectly that it is almost impossible to tell where the real ceiling ends and its reflection begins. It looks as if you are standing on the edge of an infinite starry space made of crystal, stretching forever up and forever down. It is a place of perfect symmetry and perfect calm. We wander down another tunnel and our guide points out a section of the wall. Here the salt is different. It is not pink or white but perfectly clear. These are the natural formations of pure salt crystals, and they are as transparent as glass or a flawless piece of ice. In a special chamber called the Crystal Valley, these formations hang from the ceiling like giant icicles, catching the light and breaking it into 1,000 tiny rainbows. It is a place of delicate, fragile beauty. As we walk, we feel the clean, cool air on our skin and in our lungs. For many years, people have believed this salty air is very healthy. There is even a small asthma clinic deep inside the mine, where people can come to simply sit and breathe for a few hours. They breathe in the ancient memory of the sea, letting the pure, mineral-rich air calm their bodies. Our journey through this magical place is almost over. We pass by one last charming surprise, a fully working post office, its walls and desk also built from salt bricks. A small, simple touch of our everyday world, here in this timeless, underground city. To be inside the Kura mine is to feel a sense of being held safely in the quiet, steady heart of a great mountain. The busy world with all its noise and worries feels a million miles away. Here there is only the soft glow of the light on the ancient crystals. There is only the deep, profound silence. There is only the clean, cool air. It is more than a mine. It is a library of time where every wall is a page from the story of our earth. It is a sanctuary of quiet. A palace made not for a king but for the spirit of peace itself. Let us now leave the cool, quiet tunnels of the Crystal Palace, and with the memory of its glowing walls fresh in our minds, let us travel back in time once more. We have seen this incredible treasure. We have learned how it was born from a lost ocean and a rising mountain. We have seen the city that was built to harvest it. Now we must understand the great mystery. We must answer the central question of our story. So why? Why was this salt, this simple, humble pink rock from a mountain, once considered more precious, more valuable than shiny yellow gold? The first reason is the most simple and the most important reason of all. You cannot eat gold. Imagine a great king sitting in a room filled with gold. The walls are covered in it, the floor is piled high with golden coins. He has a crown of gold on his head and rings of gold on his fingers. He is the richest man in the world. But if he has no food, he will starve. He cannot eat his coins. He cannot drink his molten crown. The gold, for all its beauty and all its value, is lifeless. It is a cold, heavy metal. It cannot give him strength. It cannot keep his heart beating. Now imagine a poor farmer. He has no gold at all, but he has a small pouch of salt. With this salt, he can make his simple meal of grains taste better. He can preserve the fish he caught in the river so it will feed his family for many days. The salt in his pouch is a tool for survival. It is a promise of life. This is the great difference. Gold is a symbol of wealth, but salt is a substance of life. Our bodies are like wonderful, magical machines. And for this machine to work properly, it needs salt. Salt is like the gentle electricity that helps all the parts talk to each other. It helps the little sparks of your thoughts travel from your brain, down your arm, to your hand. It helps your muscles to tighten when you need strength, and to relax when you need to rest. It helps your heart to beat out its steady, lifelong rhythm, thump thump, thump thump, a gentle drumbeat that is kept in time by the power of salt. Without any salt at all, our bodies would grow weak and then they would stop. We need it to live just as a flower needs water and sunlight. And in those ancient days, good, clean, healthy salt was very hard to find. The pink salt from the Himalayan mountains was famous for being the purest, the cleanest, and the best. It held all the good minerals from that ancient sea, making it even more special. So, the first reason it was so valuable was this: it was the taste of life itself. The second reason for its great value was its quiet magic. The magic of preservation. Today, our lives are filled with a different kind of magic. If we want to save our food, we open a door and place it inside a cold box. We call it a refrigerator. It is a simple act for us. The cold air keeps our food fresh and safe. But for almost all of human history, there was no such thing. There was only the heat of the day and the coolness of the night. Food, especially in warm climates, was a fleeting thing. A freshly caught fish, a piece of meat from a hunt, the vegetables from a summer garden, they would all spoil and go bad very, very quickly. This created a constant worry. The world was a cycle of abundance and scarcity. In the summer and autumn there was plenty of food. But the winter was long and cold and hungry. The greatest challenge for all ancient peoples was how to make the food from the good times last through the hard times. And the answer was salt. Salt was the first refrigerator. And its magic was simple. If you took a fresh piece of meat and rubbed the coarse, pink salt crystals all over it, the salt would slowly and gently pull all the water out. And without water, the tiny invisible germs that cause food to spoil simply cannot grow. Imagine a family in a small village long ago. It is late autumn. The air is growing colder. They have had a good hunt. They will eat well tonight. But what about next week? What about next month in the deep cold of winter? They take the rest of the meat, and they carefully cover it in the precious pink salt. They hang it in a cool, dark place. And they know that because of this salt, they will have food to eat when the snow is deep on the ground. Salt was not just a flavor. Salt was security. Salt was the promise of a meal tomorrow. Salt was peace of mind. This simple magic changed the world. It allowed sailors to pack enough food to cross the great oceans and discover new lands. It allowed great armies to march for months at a time, carrying their food with them. It allowed cities to grow because they could store food for their many citizens. This one simple, pink rock from a mountain helped build the modern world. Gold could not do this. Only salt could. Because salt was so important for both life and for saving food, it naturally became a form of money. Let us travel back again to the time of the great Roman Empire. Imagine a Roman soldier. He is a legionary standing guard at the very edge of the empire, perhaps in a cold, damp forest in Britain, or a hot, dusty fort in the Middle East. His life is hard. The work is difficult. The food is plain. At the end of the month it is payday. A Roman officer arrives with a heavy chest. The soldier lines up and he is given his pay. He receives some silver coins which are useful. But he also receives something else, something just as important. He is given a small, sturdy pouch filled with salt. This payment of salt was called a salarium. Let that word rest in your mind for a moment. Salarium. It is the direct root of our modern English word, salary. The very word we use today to mean the money we earn from our job began its life as a simple pouch of salt, given to a tired soldier on the frontier of a great empire 2,000 years ago. For that soldier, the salt was a practical treasure. The silver coins were good for buying a drink at the local tavern. But the salt was for life. He could use it to make his boring army porridge taste better. He could use it to preserve a piece of meat if he was lucky enough to hunt something. Or he could trade it. In some remote places, the local people had little use for Roman coins, but they desperately needed salt. The soldier could trade a handful of his salt for fresh eggs, or a warm loaf of bread. The salt was a flexible and powerful treasure. That is how much it was valued. But the salt's value went even deeper than that. It was more than just a mineral, more than just a preservative, more than just money. It also became a great symbol. A symbol of friendship and trust and peace. In many ancient cultures across the world, to share salt with someone was a very important act. If a traveler came to your home, you would offer them bread and you would offer them salt. This was called breaking bread and sharing salt. When you shared your salt with a guest, you were making a silent promise. You were saying, "You are welcome in my home. You are safe here under my roof. While you are with me, you are my friend and I will protect you." It was a sacred bond of trust. The salt was a symbol of a promise that could not be broken. So, you see, this simple pink rock was woven into the very fabric of human life. It was the mineral that kept our bodies alive and healthy. It was the magic that saved our food and allowed our civilizations to grow. It was the currency that paid our soldiers and fueled our economies. And it was the symbol that sealed our friendships and our most sacred promises. Gold was a treasure for the powerful. But salt was a treasure for all of humanity. For thousands upon thousands of years, salt was the quiet king of the world. Its power was absolute because the need for it was absolute. But no age lasts forever. The world continued its slow spin, and the minds of people continued to dream. They began to dream of new ways to live, of new kinds of magic. A great change began to hum across the world. It was the age of invention. It started not with a bang but with the quiet turning of a wheel, the gentle hiss of steam. And in this new age, two wonderful ideas were born that would change the salt story forever. The first was a new kind of magic. The magic of cold. People learned how to build a small, cold box that could live in their kitchen. It hummed quietly and inside it was always winter. We call it the refrigerator. Suddenly, the ancient power of salt to preserve food was no longer the only magic in town. This new magic of cold could keep food fresh for days or even weeks with no effort at all. The salt's most important job, the one it had held for all of human history, was given to a machine. The second great change was that the world became smaller. For centuries, the journey from the salt mountain to a faraway city was a long, slow, and dangerous adventure. But now new iron roads were laid across the land. Great trains, breathing clouds of steam, could cross a whole country in just a few days. Giant ships, made of steel, could cross the vast ocean in weeks, not months. The lonely mountain in Pakistan was no longer so far away. Suddenly, salt was everywhere. It could be brought cheaply and easily to almost every home. The treasure that was once so rare, so hard to get, was now simple and easy and abundant. It was no longer worth its weight in gold. Its long and noble career as a form of money was over. It was no longer a treasure to be hoarded. It was simply salt. So a question arises. Did the salt lose its magic? Did its incredible story, born from a lost ocean and a rising mountain, simply end there? Did it become just another ordinary thing on a kitchen shelf? No, of course not. It simply began a new story. A new chapter. Its value was no longer in what it did for our survival. Its new value was in what it did for our well-being, for our sense of peace and beauty and connection to the deep past. The world had stopped needing the salt to live, and instead, it began wanting the salt to live better. And this new story begins with a gentle, glowing light. Let us think about the Himalayan salt lamp. First, imagine you are holding a large raw piece of this salt in your hands. It has just come from the mine. It is not a perfect, smooth shape. It has rough edges and beautiful, natural lines where it was broken away from the mountain. Feels heavy in your hands, solid and real. Its color is a soft, milky pink with veins of white running through it. It is cool to the touch. You are holding a piece of a mountain. You are holding a piece of history. Now, a small hole is carefully drilled into the bottom of this beautiful raw stone. A small, simple light bulb is placed inside. And a switch is turned on. For a moment, nothing happens. But then, a soft warmth begins to spread from the bulb. And as the crystal warms, a magical thing occurs. A light begins to grow from the very heart of the stone. It is not a bright light. It is a slow, gentle, peaceful glow that fills the entire crystal. The salt itself seems to have come alive. The light that shines out is a unique and wonderful color. It is a warm, soft, pinkish-orange glow. The color of a perfect sunrise, or the last, gentle embers of a cozy fire. It is a light that asks for nothing. It is not a light for reading or for working or for rushing around. It is a light for resting. A light for quiet moments. A light for dreaming. When this lamp is placed in a room at night, it seems to soften the edges of everything. It makes the shadows friendly. It turns a simple bedroom into a safe, warm cave, a sanctuary from the busy world outside. The light is steady and calm, and it seems to invite your own heart to become steady and calm as well. And some people believe this glowing stone does more than just shine. They tell a story, a modern story, that the warm crystal sends out invisible messengers of peace into the air. They say that it cleanses the room of its worries, that it helps people to breathe more easily, to feel more peaceful. Whether this is a science we can measure or a magic we can only feel, does not truly matter. What is real is the profound sense of calm that this gentle light can bring. The feeling of safety. The feeling of peace. And as you sit in this gentle glow, it is good to remember the salt's incredible journey. You are not just sitting in the light of a small bulb. You are sitting in the light of history. This soft glow has passed through a crystal that was once part of a living ocean hundreds of millions of years ago. This light is shining through a piece of the very mountain that Alexander the Great's tired horses once found and licked. This warmth is coming from a stone that was once carried on the backs of camels along the Great Salt Roads. This soft glow is the quiet, gentle echo of a story that is almost 1 billion years old. The salt lamp is a silent storyteller. It does not speak with words. It speaks with light. And its story is one of great patience, deep time, and profound peace. But the salt's new story does not end there. In a wonderful turn of events, its journey has come full circle, leading it right back to where its value was first discovered by the first people, the world of taste. For a long time in our modern world, salt was just salt. The salt that most people used was a plain, white, industrial salt. It had a harsh, one-note flavor. Its only job was to make things salty. But then, chefs in great restaurants and people who truly loved to cook at home began to look for something better. They rediscovered the pink salt from the mountain. They crushed the beautiful rosy crystals and sprinkled them on their food. And they discovered what those ancient people had discovered so long ago. This salt was special. The taste was not harsh or aggressive. It was a more gentle, more complex, and more subtle saltiness. Some even tasted a faint hint of sweetness in it. This wonderful flavor comes from those 84 minerals, the memory of the ancient sea, that are perfectly blended within the crystal. Today it is a sign of a chef who truly cares about their ingredients. You will see the beautiful pink crystals sprinkled like snowflakes on a dark plate, adding not just flavor, but a wonderful, delicate crunch and a touch of beauty. Some chefs have taken it even further. They use large, flat, heavy blocks of the pink salt as a cooking surface. They heat the block gently, and then they cook a piece of fish or a scallop, or a thin slice of a vegetable right on the hot salt. As the food cooks, it picks up a very delicate, mild, and perfect seasoning. The sound is a gentle sizzle. The smell is wonderful. It is as if the ancient ocean itself is seasoning the food. So, the salt found a new kind of preciousness. Long ago it was a treasure because it was a tool for survival. Now it is a treasure because it is a tool for beauty and for pleasure and for peace. Its story has shifted from the needs of the body to the nourishment of the soul. We have spent much of our journey together in the heart of a great pink mountain. We have seen its rosy glow, and we have understood its ancient story. But the earth is a great and wonderful artist. And it did not paint its salty treasures with only one color. Our pink salt from the Himalayas is part of a magnificent global family of natural salts. Each one is born from a different story, a different corner of the world, and each one holds a unique beauty and character. So, for a little while, let us take a gentle journey around our quiet planet, to meet some of the other members of this crystalline family. Let us first travel not far from the Himalayas, to the volcanic plains of India. Here, a different kind of salt is made, known as Kala Namak or Himalayan black salt. Now, its name is a little bit of a trick because the salt itself is not truly black. When it is a whole crystal, it is a very dark violet gray, the color of a stormy twilight sky. But when it is ground into a fine powder, it becomes a lovely dusky pinkish gray. Its real uniqueness, however, is not its color, but its scent and its taste. To make this salt, the pink salt we know is heated to very high temperatures with special, fragrant herbs and spices, like the seeds of the harad fruit. This ancient process changes the salt. It gives it a very surprising and powerful sulfuric aroma. To many it smells just like a freshly boiled egg. It is a deep, savory, and almost mystical flavor that is loved in many South Asian dishes. Imagine a cool, refreshing summer drink, a lassi with a tiny pinch of this magical, smoky salt added to awaken all the other flavors. It is a taste of a different kind of history, a history of alchemy and spice. Now, let us leave the volcanic plains and travel in our minds to the ancient land of Persia, modern-day Iran. Here, hidden deep within old salt mines, one of the rarest and most beautiful salts in the world is found. It is called Persian blue salt. For the most part, this salt looks like the clear, white crystals we have seen before. But scattered within it, like stars in a Milky Way, are breathtaking flecks of a deep, sapphire blue. It is a stunning sight. This blue color is not from a mineral. It is a trick of geology and light. Millions of years ago, the same kind of immense pressure that formed the Himalayan mountains squeezed these salt deposits. But here, the pressure was so intense, so specific, that it changed the very structure of the salt crystals themselves. It bent the crystals in such a way that when light passes through them, the crystal only allows the blue light to bounce back to our eyes. To look at a piece of Persian blue salt is to see an optical illusion created by the slow, powerful hands of the earth. Each blue spark is a tiny reminder of the incredible forces that are always quietly at work beneath our feet. It is a cosmic salt, a crystal that holds the color of the deep blue twilight sky. Now, let our journey take us across the great oceans, to a chain of beautiful islands born from fire, in the middle of the vast Pacific Ocean. Let us travel to Hawaii. Here, another special salt is found. It is called red Alea salt. Its color is a beautiful, warm, terracotta red, the color of rich, volcanic earth. This color comes from a special, sacred volcanic clay called Alea, which is mixed with the pure, white sea salt. For the ancient Hawaiian people, this salt was more than just a seasoning. It was a sacred part of their culture. They used it in rituals and ceremonies to cleanse and purify their homes, their temples, and their canoes. They would bless their tools with it. To share this red salt was to share the very spirit, the very mana, of the islands themselves. The red clay was the body of the earth, and the white salt was the spirit of the ocean. Together they made a powerful and holy medicine. To taste this salt is to taste the essence of Hawaii. It is a mellow, earthy flavor, less sharp than other salts. It speaks of a connection between the fire of the volcanoes that built the islands, and the power of the great ocean that surrounds them. Finally, let us make one last stop on our gentle world tour. Let us travel to the windy, sun-kissed coasts of France. Here, on warm, dry days, a very special and delicate salt is harvested. It is called fleur de sel, which means flower of salt in French. Imagine a large, shallow pool of clean sea water, resting quietly under the sun. As the sun warms the water and a gentle breeze blows across the surface, the water slowly begins to evaporate. And on the very top layer of the water, a thin, beautiful crust of delicate, flaky salt crystals begins to form. It looks like a thin layer of new snow, or a scattering of tiny white flowers floating on the water. The salt harvesters, the pailladiers, must be very careful. Using special long-handled wooden rakes, they gently, so gently, skim only this top, finest layer of crystals from the surface of the water. They must do it before the delicate crystals become heavy and sink to the bottom. This fleur de sel is the purest and most delicate of all sea salts. It has a clean, crisp taste of the ocean and a wonderful, light crunch. It is not used for cooking, but is only sprinkled on food at the very end as a final, precious touch. To taste fleur de sel is to taste the sun, the wind, and the sea. It is a taste of a patient, gentle craft, a partnership between nature and people that has gone on for thousands of years. So you see, our Himalayan salt, in all its pink glory, is but one beautiful member of a large and wonderful family. From the smoky mystery of black salt, to the cosmic beauty of blue salt, from the sacred earthiness of red salt, to the delicate flower of the sea, the earth has given us so many different kinds of crystal treasures. Each one has its own story. Each one has its own color. Each one has its own taste. And each one, in its own way, is a quiet reminder of the slow, patient, and beautiful magic of the natural world. We have journeyed across the world to see the Earth's many beautiful salts. We have seen how they are born from the land, from volcanoes, and from the sea. Now, let us travel to a place that is much closer. A place that is with you always. Let us take a quiet journey inward. Have you ever wondered why, when you cry, your tears taste salty? Or why, on a very hot day, a drop of sweat on your lip tastes of salt? The reason is a beautiful and simple secret. It is because every single one of us carries a small, private ocean inside of us. The water that flows in our blood, the fluid that cushions our brain, the tears that well in our eyes, all of this inner water is salty. It holds a gentle, perfect balance of salt and minerals, a balance that is almost exactly the same as the great ancient oceans where all life on our planet first began. In a very real way, our bodies have never forgotten where we came from. We are born from the water of our mothers, and all life was born from the water of the earth. We carry the quiet memory of the sea within us, in our very bones and blood, every single moment of every single day. The salt in our bodies is a direct link to the beginning of all things. It is our own personal piece of the primordial sea. So, what does this gentle inner ocean do? It does something truly magical. It allows life to happen. The salt, when dissolved in the water of our bodies, is what allows us to create tiny, gentle sparks of electricity. And this electricity is the very spark of life itself. Imagine, if you will, tiny invisible messengers made of salt swimming in the rivers of your body. These messengers are called electrolytes, and they are always at work even when you are fast asleep. One of these tiny salty messengers might carry a thought from your brain, a gentle spark that travels down the long, quiet pathways of your nerves. Perhaps it is a message to your hand to feel the softness of the blanket. Or perhaps it is a message that brings a peaceful dream into your mind. Another messenger might carry a message to your muscles. During the day, they carry the messages that tell your muscles to become strong, to walk, to lift, to move. But now, as you are resting, they carry a different message. They carry the message that says, it is time to let go, it is time to become soft, it is time to rest. Even the steady, gentle beating of your heart, that quiet drum that plays your whole life long, thump thump, thump thump, that rhythm is kept in perfect time by the gentle dance of these tiny salty messengers. Without the salt in our inner ocean, these messages could not be sent. The sparks of life would fade. This is why salt is so essential. It is the keeper of our inner communication. It allows our bodies to whisper secrets to themselves. This inner ocean has another very important job. It helps our bodies to hold on to the precious water that gives us life. Think of it this way, water is the river of life that flows through us. But it is the salt that builds the riverbanks. It is the salt in our bodies that tells the water where it needs to go. It guides the water into every tiny cell, from the tips of our toes to the roots of our hair. It brings nourishment in, and it helps to gently wash away anything that is no longer needed. Without the salt to guide it, the water would be lost. Our bodies would not know how to use it. This is why, when we are very thirsty after a long hot day, our bodies sometimes crave not just water, but a little bit of salt as well. It is our inner ocean, asking to be restored to its perfect ancient balance. It is a quiet, deep wisdom that our bodies have always known. And as you lie here now, resting so peacefully, listening to this story, this inner ocean inside of you is calm and still. The gentle, salty waves of your blood are flowing slowly and easily through your body, carrying warmth and quiet and peace to every single part of you. The tiny, salty messengers are quiet now. They have delivered all of their messages for the day. Their work is done. Now they too are resting, floating peacefully in the calm, warm sea within you. Your body is in a state of perfect, gentle balance. It does not need to do anything at all. It can simply be. It can simply rest. Just for a moment, see if you can feel it. Feel the quiet, warm, peaceful sea that exists inside of you. It is the most ancient and the most natural part of who you are. It has been with you since the very beginning. And it is here with you now, holding you safely as you drift deeper and deeper into rest. When something is as important to us as salt was, when it keeps us alive, preserves our food, and acts as our money, we do more than just use it. We begin to tell stories about it. We give it a special meaning, a special magic. For as long as people have gathered together in the quiet of the evening, they have shared stories and whispers about the power of salt. Let us listen to a few of these gentle stories now. Have you ever heard the old saying that it is bad luck to spill salt? Perhaps you have heard it from a grandmother or a parent. It is a very, very old idea, and it comes from a time when salt was so precious. Let us imagine a family long, long ago. They are sitting around a simple, dark wooden table for their evening meal. The room is lit by the soft, flickering light of a candle. In the very center of the table is a small, clay bowl, holding their most valuable seasoning, their salt. A child, reaching for a piece of bread, accidentally knocks the bowl with their elbow. The bowl tips, and the white crystals scatter across the dark wood like a splash of fallen stars. A hush falls over the room. The child's eyes grow wide with worry. In that time, this was not a small accident. Because salt was so valuable, spilling it was like spilling a handful of coins. It was a terrible waste of something that was hard to get. But it was more than that. As we have learned, salt was also a great symbol of trust and friendship and safety. So, to spill the salt felt like breaking a promise. It felt like inviting bad feelings or bad luck into the home. But the old stories also had a cure. A way to make things right. The wise old grandmother at the table might have smiled gently at the worried child. "Do not worry, little one," she would have whispered. "There is a simple magic to fix this." She would have told the child to take a small pinch of the spilled salt with the fingers of their right hand. And then she would say, "Now just toss it over your left shoulder." This simple act was full of storybook magic. The old tale was that any bad luck or any mischievous, unseen spirits would be hiding just behind you over your left shoulder. And when you tossed the salt, it would fly into their eyes. Surprised and blinded by the tiny sharp crystals, they would run away and the bad luck would be gone. It was a beautiful, gentle way to turn a clumsy accident into an act of magic, and to turn a child's worry into a quiet smile. In some of the world's oldest and most sacred books, there is another, more serious story about salt. It is a story about letting go of the past. The story tells of a good man named Lot, who lived with his family in a city that was about to be destroyed. An angel came to him and warned him to take his family and run to the mountains to a place of safety. The angel gave him one very important instruction: escape for your life. Do not look behind you. So the family began to run. But the man's wife, her heart was full of sadness. She was leaving behind her home, her friends, everything she had ever known. And even though she had been warned, the temptation to see her home one last time was too strong. She slowed down, she hesitated, and she turned her head to look back. And the story says that in that very moment she was transformed. She became a pillar of salt, standing alone on the plain, frozen forever, looking back at the past. It is a sad and strange story. But like all old stories, it holds a quiet lesson. It is not really about salt. It is about us. It is a gentle reminder that sometimes, to move forward into a new and better future, we must have the strength to let go of what is behind us. The pillar of salt, standing silent in the desert, is a symbol of how we can become frozen and unable to move if we spend too much time looking backwards. Now, let us travel in our minds to the beautiful land of Japan. Here there is a very ancient and honored sport for very large, very strong men. It is called sumo wrestling. Before these two powerful wrestlers begin their match, they do not just shake hands. They perform a series of beautiful ancient rituals. And one of the most important rituals involves salt. Imagine the ring. It is a perfect circle of clean, raked sand. The two giant wrestlers stand at the edge. Each one bends down and takes a big handful of pure, white salt from a wooden box. Then, with a powerful and graceful motion, each wrestler throws the salt high into the air. It flies out over the ring, scattering across the sand like a beautiful white spray of magic. They do this to prepare the space. In their culture, salt is a great symbol of purity. By throwing the salt, they are cleansing the ring. They are washing away any bad luck or negative feelings. They are making the space holy and ready for an honorable contest between two strong spirits. It is a beautiful act of respect for their sport, for the ring, and for each other. And finally, there is one more story, a story told in many, many homes, in many different countries all over the world. It is the story of salt as a quiet guardian. For thousands of years, people have believed that salt had the power to protect a home from harm. Before going to sleep for the night, a person might take a small bowl of salt and sprinkle a thin, clean line of it across the windowsill, or across the threshold of the front door. This tiny white line of salt was like a magical, invisible wall. The story was that nothing bad, no unhappy feelings, no bad dreams, no evil spirits, could cross that line of salt. It was a simple act, a quiet ritual, that made a house feel like a true sanctuary, a place of complete safety and peace. The salt was a humble, silent guardian, standing watch at the windows and the doors, while the family slept safely and soundly inside. These are just a few of the many stories, the quiet whispers and the ancient legends, that people have told about salt. They show us that this simple substance was never just a rock to be eaten. It was alive in our imaginations. It was a character in our human story. It was a symbol of luck, a lesson from the past, a tool of purity, and a faithful guardian of our homes. Our Himalayan salt was a hidden treasure. It was born from an ancient ocean, and then lifted high into the sky, to be held safely in the dark, quiet heart of a mountain. But sometimes when an ancient ocean disappeared, its treasure was not hidden away. Sometimes it was simply left behind, out in the open, a vast, sleeping secret under the sun and the stars. It did not become a mountain of salt. It became a salt flat. Let us travel now, in our quiet minds, to a very different kind of mountain range, the Andes, in a country called Bolivia in South America. Here, held high up in a valley between the tall, silent peaks, lies the largest salt flat in the entire world. It is a place so flat, so white, and so vast, that it feels as though you have left our world and landed gently on the surface of another planet. It is a place of profound silence and breathtaking beauty. For most of the year, this place is a great, white desert of salt. Imagine standing in the middle of it. In every direction as far as you can possibly see, there is only a flat, white expanse of crystal. It is larger than some countries, a great, white, frozen sea of salt that has been sleeping here for thousands of years. The silence here is one of the deepest and most profound you can find anywhere on Earth. There are no trees for the wind to rustle through. There are no insects to buzz. There are no birds to sing their songs. The air itself is thin and still. The silence is so complete you can almost feel its gentle weight. It is a silence that seems to wash over you, cleansing your mind of all its noisy thoughts. Here there is only stillness. If you look down at your feet, you will see that the salt is not just a smooth, white surface. The sun has dried it into a beautiful, natural pattern of large, six-sided shapes. It is as if a giant, invisible artist has tiled the entire desert floor with perfect, interlocking hexagons of crystal. It is a giant honeycomb made not of wax but of pure, white salt. As you walk, your footsteps make a gentle, satisfying crunch. The sun is very bright, and its light reflects off the white surface all around you, so it feels like you are walking on a field of soft, gentle light. In this great, white emptiness you feel very small, but you also feel very peaceful. There is nothing here to distract you. There is only the white salt below you and the deep, blue sky above you. It is a place that makes you feel simple and clean and clear. But for a short time each year, when the rainy season comes, a great and beautiful magic happens here. A true miracle of nature. A thin, perfect layer of rainwater flows out across the entire salt flat. It is not a deep flood. The water is only a few inches deep, like a shallow, peaceful puddle that is bigger than a whole city. And because the salt flat is so incredibly, perfectly level, this thin layer of water becomes completely, absolutely still. And when the water is still, it transforms the salt flat into the largest, most perfect mirror in the entire world. To be here during this time is to experience something that feels like a dream. To stand in the middle of the salt flat now is to feel like you are floating in the very center of the sky. The bright blue sky of the daytime, with its big, fluffy, slow-moving white clouds, is perfectly reflected on the ground beneath your feet. The clouds drift by above your head, and they also drift by below your feet. It becomes impossible to tell where the real sky ends and where the earth begins. The horizon line disappears completely. You are simply floating in a beautiful, endless space of blue and white. It is like you are walking on the clouds. It is like you are the only person in a world made of sky. Every gentle step you take sends out slow, perfect, circular ripples across the reflection of the clouds beneath your feet. And when the sun begins to set, the magic becomes even deeper, even more beautiful. Imagine the sun, a great, warm ball of orange light, slowly sinking towards the horizon. The entire sky above you is set on fire with the most breathtaking colors. Deep oranges, soft pinks, and gentle purples. A perfect, beautiful painting across the heavens. And now look down. The ground beneath you has become the very same painting. The entire world all around you is a perfect sphere of warm, gentle sunset color. You are standing in the very heart of a sunset. The feeling is one of profound peace and quiet and overwhelming beauty. And then, when the last light of the sun has faded, the final and most wonderful magic is revealed. Night falls. The sky above, in this high, clean air, far from any city lights, becomes a dark velvet blanket, scattered with a billion glittering stars. The Milky Way, our home galaxy, is a soft, glowing river of light, stretching from one side of the sky to the other. And the ground beneath your feet has also become a sky full of a billion glittering stars. You are no longer standing on the earth. You are floating in your own gentle, silent spaceship, drifting peacefully through the center of the universe. There are stars above you. There are stars below you. There are stars in every direction you look. You can reach down and touch the reflection of a distant galaxy with your fingertips. It is a place where you can feel the true size, and the true silence, and the true peace of the cosmos. It is a place that reminds us that we are all made of stardust, and we are all floating together in a great, beautiful, and quiet mystery. This, then, is the other great secret of salt. When it is lifted into a mountain, it becomes a hidden, glowing treasure for us to find. But when it is left flat upon the earth and kissed by a little rain, it becomes a perfect mirror to show us the infinite beauty of the heavens. It is another of the earth's quiet, gentle, salt-born miracles. We have seen how salt can build a mountain and how it can create a mirror to the stars. This simple substance is so powerful, so fundamental, and so important to our lives, that it has done something else as well. It has given us a beautiful and simple way to talk about good people. Have you ever heard a person described as being the salt of the earth? It is a very special and a very warm compliment. It does not mean that the person is rich or famous or powerful or clever. It means something much quieter, much deeper, and much more wonderful than that. To be the salt of the earth means to be a truly good and honest person. Someone you can always trust and depend on. Their words are simple and true, and their promises are strong and steady. Their goodness is not for show. It is not a performance. It is just a part of who they are, deep down in their bones. Remember how salt was so valuable because it preserved food and kept it from going bad? Well, a salt of the earth person does something similar for the world around them. Their quiet kindness, their simple honesty, their steady presence, helps to preserve the goodness in their family, their friendships, and their community. They help keep the world around them healthy and strong just by being who they are. And remember how salt makes simple food taste better? A salt of the earth person does the same thing for life. They are not always the loudest or the most exciting person in the room. But their presence makes everything feel a little bit better, a little bit warmer, a little bit safer. They bring a quiet, steady goodness to any moment. Let us imagine a few of these people, these salt of the earth souls. Imagine an old farmer. He gets up every morning before the sun. His hands are rough and strong from years of working with the soil. He doesn't say very much. He is a quiet man. But his actions speak with a loud, clear voice. When a storm knocks down his neighbor's fence, he is the first one there the next morning with his tools and his quiet strength, helping to build it back up again. He does not ask for thanks. He does not expect anything in return. He is there simply because a neighbor is in need. When his own harvest is good, and his neighbor's is poor, he will quietly leave a basket of fresh vegetables on their doorstep in the evening. It is a simple, silent gift. He knows the language of the seasons, the feel of the soil, the needs of his animals. His life is simple and honest and connected to the earth. He is the salt of the earth. Now let us imagine a grandparent. A grandmother, perhaps, sitting in a comfortable old armchair. The afternoon light is soft in the room. The only sounds are the gentle tick-tock of an old clock on the wall, and the quiet click of her knitting needles. Her grandchildren come to her with their little worries and their big questions. She stops her knitting. She does not always have a big, clever answer. She does not try to solve all their problems. But she does something much more important. She listens. She listens with her whole heart. She makes them feel that their worries are important and that they are safe. She might tell them a simple story from her own childhood, or just give their hand a gentle squeeze. Her presence is a warm, steady anchor in the sometimes stormy seas of a young life. She is the calm, quiet, loving center of the family. She is the salt of the earth. Let us imagine a neighbor. Not a close friend you see all the time, just a person who lives down the street. You might only know them well enough to say hello. But on trash day, if you have forgotten to take out your bin, you come home to find they have quietly rolled it out to the curb for you. When you go away on a trip, they keep a gentle eye on your home, not because you asked them to, but just because it is the right thing to do. They always have a friendly, simple wave as they get the mail. Their small, consistent acts of simple decency and reliability make the whole neighborhood feel a little safer, a little kinder, a little more like a real community. They are not looking for an award. They are just a good and decent person. They are the salt of the earth. Let us imagine a neighbor. Not a close friend you see all the time, just a person who lives down the street. You might only know them well enough to say hello. But on trash day, if you have forgotten to take out your bin, you come home to find they have quietly rolled it out to the curb for you. When you go away on a trip, they keep a gentle eye on your home, not because you asked them to, but just because it is the right thing to do. They always have a friendly, simple wave as they get the mail. Their small, consistent acts of simple decency and reliability make the whole neighborhood feel a little safer, a little kinder, a little more like a real community. They are not looking for an award. They are just a good and decent person. They are the salt of the earth. These are the salt of the earth people. They are not kings or queens or famous heroes. Their faces are not on the television. Their names are not in the history books. They are the quiet, steady, good-hearted people who hold our world together. They are the bakers who get up in the dark of the morning to bake our daily bread. They are the librarians who lovingly care for the stories of the world. They are the nurses who offer a kind word in the middle of a long night. They are the invisible glue of kindness and reliability that makes life good. They are the true treasure of our world. And perhaps this is another reason why our Himalayan salt feels so special to us, even today. It is not a flashy, glittering diamond. It does not shout for our attention. It is a simple, humble, and fundamentally good and honest mineral. It is, in its own quiet way, the salt of the earth. And it reminds us of the simple, quiet goodness that can be found all around us, in the people we meet every day, and also deep within ourselves. We have seen how good people, the salt of the earth, help to preserve the kindness and strength in our world. It is a beautiful thought. But this connection between salt and the act of preserving is even deeper and more ancient than we can imagine. For salt has not only preserved our food, allowing our bodies to survive. In its own quiet, mysterious way, it has also preserved our history. It has been a silent guardian of our oldest stories and our most sacred beliefs. Let us travel now in our quiet minds to the ancient land of Egypt. A land of great, golden pyramids rising from the desert sand and the long, life-giving Nile River. The ancient Egyptians had a very deep and powerful belief about life and death. They believed that a person's journey did not end with their last breath. They believed that the soul, the spirit of a person, continued on a great and wondrous adventure into another world, a land of the gods. But to make this important journey, the soul needed its physical body to remain safe and peaceful here on earth. The body was the soul's anchor, its sacred home. And so, they developed a special holy process to protect the bodies of their pharaohs, their kings and queens, from the natural changes of time. We call this process mummification. And the most important ingredient in this sacred ritual was a special kind of salt. Near the dry beds of ancient lakes in the Egyptian desert, they would gather a natural salt called natron. It was a pure, white, powerful salt, a gift from the dry desert earth. The Egyptian priests, who were men of great learning and deep faith, would perform their rituals with great care and reverence. They would use this special natron salt to gently and slowly dry the body, preserving it perfectly. The salt was a magical guardian. It was a sacred blanket of crystal that protected the body from decay and kept it safe and whole. They were wrapping the body in a quiet blanket of time itself, so that it could rest undisturbed for thousands of years. For the Egyptians, salt was the key to eternity. It was the earthly substance that preserved a physical life, so that a spiritual life could continue its great journey to the stars. Salt was the bridge between this world and the next. Now, let us travel from the sands of Egypt to a different desert. A place of steep, rocky cliffs and deep, quiet caves, surrounding a body of water so salty that nothing can live in it. We have come to the shores of the Dead Sea. It is one of the driest, saltiest, and quietest places on the entire planet. The air itself feels heavy with ancient stillness. Here, a different kind of preservation took place. A miracle that saved not bodies but ideas. The story begins not long ago. A young shepherd boy was watching his goats on these rocky hills. One of his goats wandered off as they sometimes do. The boy, looking for it, saw the dark opening of a cave high up on a cliff. To see if anything was inside, he threw a small stone into the darkness. He did not hear the sound of the stone hitting rock. Instead, he heard a strange and unexpected sound. He heard the sound of breaking pottery. His curiosity was sparked. He carefully climbed up the steep cliff and peered inside the cave. His eyes slowly adjusted to the gloom. And there, he saw something that would change our understanding of history. The cave was filled with large, old clay jars. And inside these jars, carefully wrapped in old linen cloth, were dozens of ancient scrolls. They were like old maps, made of dried animal skin or a kind of paper called papyrus, covered in beautiful handwritten words from a time long past. These scrolls were a magnificent treasure. They were ancient copies of some of the world's most sacred books and forgotten stories and secret teachings. They came to be known as the Dead Sea Scrolls. Now here is the miracle. Normally, fragile things like paper or animal skin would completely disappear over time. They would rot or crumble into dust after just a few hundred years. But these scrolls had been sleeping in these caves for nearly 2,000 years. And they were almost perfectly preserved. What? The answer once again is the magic of salt. The air in these dry desert caves is filled with tiny invisible particles of salt, carried on the wind from the great Dead Sea nearby. This dry, salty air acted like a perfect, invisible shield. It kept all moisture away. And it stopped the tiny germs and bugs that would normally eat away at the ancient scrolls. The salt in the air was a quiet librarian. It was a patient, invisible guardian that stood watch over these precious words for 2 millennia, protecting them until we were ready to find them. So, the very same power of salt that preserved the great bodies of the Egyptian pharaohs also preserved the sacred words of ancient prophets and poets. It has protected not just our physical past, but our spiritual stories, and our most important ideas as well. It seems then that one of salt's greatest and most secret gifts is the gift of stopping time. It allows the food from a summer's hunt to be eaten in the deep quiet of winter. It allows a great king's body to rest peacefully, waiting for its soul's eternal journey. And it allows a story written by a hand long since turned to dust, to be held in our hands and read by our eyes today. It is the great preserver, the quiet guardian of life, of bodies, and of the stories that make us who we are. We have soared across oceans of time. We have stood in the shadow of great mountains, and walked through vast, glittering salt flats that mirrored the stars. We have spoken of empires and myths and the great sweep of history. Now, let us do something different. Let us take all of our attention, all of our quiet, peaceful awareness, and place it upon something very, very small. I invite you now, in your mind's eye, to imagine that you are holding a single tiny crystal of our Himalayan pink salt. Just one. Perhaps it is resting gently in the open palm of your hand. Or perhaps you are holding it carefully between your thumb and your forefinger. Let us take a moment now to truly look at this tiny, quiet thing. First, just notice its size and its shape. It is very small. Perhaps it is no bigger than a grain of rice or a tiny, smooth pebble from a stream. It is not a perfect, sharp cube like the salt you might see in a salt shaker. Its shape is natural and rough. A tiny piece of a mountain. It has little flat surfaces, we can call them faces, that would catch an imaginary light and make a tiny gentle sparkle. It is a tiny imperfect jewel. A quiet, observational pause. Now in your mind's eye, let us look closely at its color. It is not one single flat color of pink. It is much more complex and beautiful than that. It is a soft, milky, rosy pink, but if you look very closely you can see tiny thread-like streaks of white running through it, like clouds in a pink sky. And perhaps in one tiny corner, there is a spot of deeper, richer red. The crystal is translucent. This means that light can pass through it. Imagine a soft, gentle light is shining from behind this tiny crystal, making it glow from within, like a tiny, sleeping ember from a long-forgotten fire. It is a warm and gentle light. A comfortable, slow pause. Now imagine you can feel it. Imagine the feeling of its weight in the palm of your hand. It is almost nothing, just a tiny hint of solidity. But it is there. It is real. Imagine you can gently touch its surface with the tip of your finger. It is mostly smooth but with tiny, sharp edges and corners. It is cool to the touch. It holds the deep, ancient coolness of the mountain cave where it has been sleeping for so very long. This tiny, quiet thing that you are holding in your imagination, it is not new. It is, in fact, one of the oldest and most well-traveled things you will ever encounter. Let us think for a moment about the incredible story that is held within this single tiny crystal. This very crystal was once a tiny, invisible part of the great ancient ocean. It floated freely and happily in the warm, sunlit waters, part of the great dance of life's beginnings. This very crystal fell gently to the seabed when the ocean disappeared. It became part of a vast, silent, glittering blanket of salt, and it rested there under the sun and the stars for an age. This very crystal felt the first deep hum of the moving continents. It felt the immense, slow, powerful pressure of a world being remade. It was squeezed and heated and folded and lifted high, high into the sky as the great Himalayan mountains were born around it. This very crystal then waited. It waited in the perfect, silent darkness for millions and millions of years. A tiny, sleeping, pink heart held safely within the deep stone. This very crystal might have been part of the very same rock that a tired, thirsty horse from the army of Alexander the Great once licked, revealing the mountain's secret to the world. And this very crystal was carefully and respectfully broken away from the mountain by the hands of a miner, perhaps only a short time ago, to begin the final part of its long, long journey. Its journey to you. A very long, reflective pause, allowing the weight of this immense history to settle. And now for the final part of our quiet observation. Imagine you lift this single tiny crystal to your lips. You place it gently on your tongue. For a moment you feel only its cool, solid shape. But then as it is warmed and softened, it begins to dissolve. And as it dissolves, its great secret is released. The taste. A pure, clean, gentle, and perfect saltiness. In this one simple moment, something truly amazing is happening. The ancient ocean, after a journey of nearly 1 billion years, across time and through mountains, is greeting you once more. You are tasting a tiny piece of the very beginning of our world. A whole universe of time, a whole story of creation, of pressure, and of patience, can be held and understood within something small enough to rest on the tip of your finger. The greatest stories and the greatest treasures are often told in the quietest whispers. We have held the story of the universe in a single grain of salt. Now, let us gently broaden our view once more, and see how all the different stories we have shared tonight, all the different quiet threads, are woven together into one beautiful and peaceful tapestry. The story of our Himalayan salt is not just one single story. It is a great and ancient tree, with many strong branches, each one reaching for the light in its own beautiful way. Let us look at a few of these branches one last time. The first branch is the branch of the Earth's own artistry. Remember the other beautiful salts we visited on our quiet journey around the world? Remember the mysterious, smoky black salt from India, and the cosmic, sapphire blue salt from the ancient mountains of Persia? Remember the sacred, earthy red salt from the volcanic islands of Hawaii, and the delicate, white flower of the sea, gently harvested from the coasts of France? These beautiful crystals remind us that our Himalayan salt, in all of its soft, pink glory, is part of a great and wonderful family of treasures. They show us that the earth is a patient and magnificent artist. It uses the slow, powerful tools of pressure and heat and volcanic clay, and warm sunlight to paint its salty crystals with 100 different beautiful colors. The pink of our salt is but one verse in the earth's long and beautiful poem. The next branch on this great tree is a very personal one. It is the branch that connects the great, wide world to the quiet, secret world within each of us. Remember the quiet, salty ocean that we all carry inside our own bodies? The tears that cleanse our eyes, the blood that carries our life. All of it is a gentle echo of the ancient sea where all life on this planet began. This connection is so deep and so profound. When we taste a single crystal of Himalayan salt, we are not just tasting a rock. We are, in a very real way, reminding our own inner ocean of the great Mother Ocean from which it came. It is a quiet moment of reunion, a gentle recognition between the very small world inside of us and the very large world outside. It is a taste of home. Another branch is one woven from our dreams, from our imaginations, and from our ancient need for magic. Remember the stories and the quiet whispers we shared? The old superstition about spilling salt, and how to make it right by tossing a pinch over your shoulder. Remember the strange and sad tale of the pillar of salt, a quiet lesson about not looking back? Remember the powerful sumo wrestlers, cleansing their sacred ring with a spray of pure, white salt. And remember the simple, humble, protective line of salt, drawn across a doorway to keep a home safe while a family sleeps? These stories, told for thousands of years, show us something wonderful. They show us that the salt was so important, so powerful, that it lived not just in our kitchens but in our hearts and in our spirits. We gave it a personality. We gave it a magic. We made it a character in our great, unfolding human story. And perhaps the most beautiful branch of all is the one that grows from the soil of human goodness. Remember the kind farmer and the patient grandparent and the helpful neighbor? Remember the quiet, steady, honest people that we call the salt of the earth? This beautiful idea reminds us that the greatest value in our world is not always in what glitters, or what is rare, or what is expensive. The greatest and most lasting value is often found in what is simple and reliable and fundamentally good. Just like the salt itself. So you see, the story of our Himalayan salt is not just one story. It is a grand and beautiful tapestry, woven together with many different, wonderful threads. There is a thread of geology telling a story of oceans and mountains. There is a thread of history telling a story of kings and caravans. There is a thread of biology telling the story of our own inner ocean. There is a thread of mythology telling the story of our dreams and our magic. And there is a thread of human kindness, telling the story of the simple goodness in our hearts. All of these stories, all of this history, all of this magic, is held quietly within every single pink crystal. And all of these stories have led us here, together, to this one simple, peaceful moment of quiet rest. The journey is almost complete. It is almost time to sleep. And so, our great journey is complete. We have followed every quiet thread, and now, they have all been woven together into a single, peaceful tapestry of time and memory. The story is told. The book is gently closed. And now there is only one last, simple journey left to take. The most important journey of them all. The journey home, to a deep and peaceful sleep. The story of the salt, as we have seen, is a story of great and beautiful patience. It waited in the warm waters of the ancient ocean for an age. It waited in the deep, silent darkness of the mountain for an age more. It was never in a hurry. It never rushed. It simply rested, trusting the slow, deep, powerful rhythm of the earth. And perhaps this is the salt's final, quiet gift to us tonight. A gentle, whispered reminder that it is okay to be still. It is okay to rest. It is okay to let go of the day, and to wait patiently and peacefully as you drift into the quiet, wonderful land of your dreams. And now, it is your time. Your time to rest completely. Your time for quiet waiting, as you float gently and easily into a deep and wonderful sleep. Let your whole body feel heavy, so very heavy, and warm, and comfortable. Imagine one last time that gentle pink glow of a salt lamp. Imagine it is here in the room with you now. See it filling the entire space around you with a soft, safe, and deeply peaceful light. Now, imagine this warm, gentle, healing light is beginning a final, quiet journey through your body, helping every single part of you to let go and find perfect rest. Imagine this warm, peaceful light beginning at the very tips of your toes. Feel it making them warm and relaxed. Feel the light flow gently into the soles of your feet, and into your heels, and your ankles, letting go of all the walking and all the standing and all the effort of your day. Your feet have carried you far and now they can rest. Allow that gentle, soothing warmth to travel up into your lower legs, and into your knees, making them feel soft and loose. Feel the warmth move up into your thighs. These big, strong muscles can now let go completely, sinking down into the wonderful softness beneath you. Bring your awareness to your back, and feel it resting fully supported. Let every muscle in your back become soft and heavy, a long, wide river of relaxation. Feel the gentle warmth as it fills your stomach and your chest. Your breathing is slow and easy and peaceful. Feel the light flow down from your shoulders, a place where we so often carry the weight of our day. Just let that weight dissolve now. Let it all melt away. Let your shoulders become soft and light. Feel the warmth travel all the way down your arms, through your elbows, your wrists, your hands, all the way to the very tips of your fingers. Your hands have done so much today. Now their work is done. Let them be still and heavy and peaceful. Allow the warmth to soothe your neck and your jaw. Let your jaw be soft and slightly open. Let your tongue rest gently in your mouth. All the words of the day have been spoken. Now there is only silence. And finally, feel the gentle, peaceful light in your face. Feel it soften the tiny muscles around your mouth and your cheeks. Feel it smooth across your forehead. Feel the muscles around your eyes become so very soft, so very relaxed. Your eyelids feel heavy and peaceful. Your whole body, from the tips of your toes to the very top of your head, is now held in this warm, safe, gentle glow. You are deeply, deeply relaxed. And now, there is only your breath. Just the gentle, easy, quiet rhythm of your breathing. You do not need to do anything at all. Your body knows how to breathe. Just rest and feel it happen. Every breath you take in is like a slow, silent wave of peace, washing up onto the quiet shore of your being. And every breath you let out is the wave slowly, softly pulling back, carrying away the very last remnants of the day, leaving the shore clean and quiet and still. Breathing in, calm. Breathing out, letting go. The mountain is sleeping now. The ancient ocean is dreaming. The story is resting. And you are also resting. You are safe. You are comfortable. You are peaceful. You are drifting and floating on a warm, quiet sea of sleep. There is nothing left to do. There is nothing left to think about. There is nowhere else to be. Only this moment. Only this quiet. Only this peace. Sleep now. Rest deeply. Good night.